The father of strife lay bound, beneath ground and grit, none at his side, but she, faithful until the world end, to he for faithlessness renowned. She bore the worm's venom, poison burning her hand's cup, scarlet skin, palms blemished red. To their shared woe she bowed to relieve her vile burden, her spouse, writhing and screaming, thrashing the earth in his distress. She bent over him, shielding his brow with innocence and duty, the pain they shared for the crime of one. When his wound blaze waned, spoke Baldur's bane. He asked his warden to be true and trust. Leave me, go, he ordered. Let me bear the suffering of misguided mistletoe. Go to the bowels where Ymir's maggots have bored into the mountain. Find coal as black as starless skies and deep unbroken waters. Bring it to me. Cunning and soot will break these chains. She left the snake dripping its bile, and Loki howling. The tunnels shuddered, shaken by the struggle of skin against steel. She heard his cries while digging, she felt the throbs as he tore his wrists in futile wrestling. She carried the coal in her dress folds, running, as quick as can on quaking earth. Cover me, whimpered her husband. Cover me in black, paint my fire hair with cinder dust. No water on my swollen eyes. Let the mountain girls curse and flame my face. But take care to hide the scars along my lips. The craft of Brock's needle is too easy a sign by which to know the lie-smith. When Loki asked to be cloaked in coal, the weary-armed obeyed. And when he asked for her to fetch the adder's slayer, the worm's bane, she went. She walked the arched dance of light through water to the once golden grass of Asgarth's fields. Easy enough to beguile Gale's wielder into following her to Narfi's grave. Dishonour never stained the ring-breaker's thoughts. Thor broke his stride at finding Loki gone, and in his place a stranger as if charred, screaming for mercy. Tender-hearted Sigyn ran to burn her hands and spare his senses, while strong-willed Thor stepped forward. Who are you, lying in Loki's place, and where is the master of lies, the one who once rode by my side, the lost friend turned to foe? Pray the Aesir one day forgive me. I am but your thrall, an insect, no more than a fly. I spent my fleeting heartspan untroubled. That is, until today. But can you see the web above this cave? The threads the Widowmaker wove were threads to cut my own. Caught in the slick netting of silk, I called for grace, I prayed, and I was heard. If only humble enough yeoman I hadn't tried to talk to gods. Loki answered my cries, and I, guileless before the most famed for guile, listened. There I lay meshed in spider chains, as the trickster was by Gore. He offered to share our plights, for him to die by weaver's venom, for me to pay my life with poison. We traded dooms. He took my end, and I took his. The yarn which spun our lives, we dyed the colour of our companion's luck. Bitter fate which let consent slip from my lips, accursed Norns which led me to this blighted rack. How death lure now calls me. How much would I, like Loki, if I could swap places with the Helheimr bound, readily accept such kindly bargain. Being not Sigyn's soul burden, I know no reprieve, live wasted and miserable minutes, spit-tainted moments. I beg the son of Othin for release, the one of death or of the other kind, for I am guiltless, bound to an unfair fate. I swore never to harm the golden Aesir when Frigg came to me for vows, and I cried and mourned for the death of Hod's brother when Frigg came to me for sorrow. Why do I bear now her bereavement's blame? You speak the truth, little fly, said the red-bearded god. Punished you are, as punished you should be, for you spared the harmer of Sif's hair. But his crimes are not yours, and for him you pay too high a fee. None but Hel's father must ever suffer for the banishment of Balr to her forsaken realm. With those words the son of earth ripped Nafi's belt of flesh clear from the stone. Be free, midget, fly away, but keep your goggled eyes, their bulge speaks of your reckoning. Unbound, the wolf's father found again fire and fierceness. Lord of Goats is a title well deserved. For all your strength, still your wits are no better than those of the bleating mountain climbers. Go tell your father your misdeeds, how the destroyer of giants freed the destroyer of worlds. Swift shift of shape from man to fly, away flew Loki. The thunderer stormed, his anger found but one foe. Light stepped Sigyn, bereft wife of the thousand masked, alone. Spoke Mjolnir's master, I would break your bones, if I believed he cared. To the loving it is ache enough, to know your life breath has flown without you, despite my wrath. Out of my sight, dupe monger, trader of trickery. Away strode the helper of men, when his shape no longer broke the stillness of the air. The strain of Sigyn's heart flew back to her. He displayed sweet silver words and smiles. He slivered and bowed to her silent figure. Meekly she listened as he kissed his thanks with soot-black hands and tainted lips. Thus he soiled her fair fingers with smudged treachery. Now, some context around this poem. If you're looking for the kennings I used and who they refer to, I've put a list on the Facebook page to help you navigate the imagery. How Loki escaped his bounds before Ragnarök isn't known. The only piece of information we have is that, at Ragnarök, all ties are undone. So Loki and his son Fenrir, and all the other creatures which have been kept under control, now roam free. The reason why I chose for Thor to come and free Loki is because if you do some myth comparing and cross-analysing, you can find many similarities between Loki and Prometheus. Prometheus is a titan who lived with the gods, but, after giving fire to the humans, was punished by being tied to a rock with an eagle eating his liver every day. So Prometheus is linked to fire, as is Loki. They're both giants / Jotun, and they're punished by being tied down with a dangerous animal harming them every day. Loki also has a cyclical punishment, sometimes spared by Sigyn, sometimes howling in pain as the snake spits venom in his eyes. That kind of punishment feels typical of the Greek myths, if you think for example of Sisyphus and his rock, or Tantalus and his fruit. It might well be a later addition. Prometheus is finally freed by Heracles, his good friend. Heracles is Zeus' son, a great hero, and he's been hating and fighting snakes since birth. Quite literally since birth, as he strangled 2 snakes as an infant. In the same way, Thor is the son of the king of the gods, a great hero for humans, and a great snake killer. They were both friends with the Prometheus / Loki figure, despite them being titans / Jotun. So, as Heracles comes and frees Prometheus from his rock, defying Zeus' orders, in the same way, I felt it would be logical if somehow Thor led to Loki being set free. But contrary to Heracles, Thor couldn't do this of his own free will, having himself helped tie down Loki. But Loki is the master of trickery. He could trick Thor into doing it, couldn't he? We've mentioned Utgarfaloki's story a few times, and how in one version of the myth, when Thor comes up to Utgarfaloki, it's to find him chained up. And of course, the illusions of Utgarfaloki is one of the only times Loki gets the better of Thor. So I already knew that Thor would free Loki, and Loki would trick Thor using an illusion. I chose a fly because that's one of Loki's powers we're pretty sure of, as it crops up in several myths. I also felt Sigyn, goddess of fidelity, would be important to help Loki set up his trap. A woman helping to unleash evil is also a mythical trope. Think of Eve or Pandora's box. Interestingly enough, Pandora was married to Prometheus' brother. There are a few interesting links to explore there too, but I won't go into too much detail right now. So that's how I came to the conclusion it would need to be Thor freeing Loki through trickery and illusion, maybe referencing his shapeshifting into flies. And Sigyn would need to help somehow, or at least be complicit with Loki. So there you are. If you have any more questions about the poem, please ask. In terms of language, I'm trying to stay in tone with pieces such as Beowulf and reading lots of Seamus Heaney's poetry to get a feel for how to write skaldic poetry. Next week we'll be back on our regular episodes with Scathy's wedding. See you then!